I'm Gina Mizell here with Connor Letourneau, where on Thursday night, Oregon State loses a heartbreaker 29-23 against Utah in double overtime. And you could say this is the trend now with these two teams, with two crazy overtime finishes in a row the last couple of years. But a very strange game. First of all, these two teams were very offensively challenged for the first three quarters. Then Oregon State finally breaks through with a big Jordan Billiman 72-yard touchdown catch. You think maybe that'll be the difference. Utah drives down the field to take the lead. Trevor Romaine ties the game to send it into overtime, and then Devontae Booker had a huge game, scores twice in overtime, including in double overtime to get the win. So what do you make of this entire performance for the Beavers? It was just a crazy game.
As with, most issues with this team, it starts with the offense. I think everything kind of goes back with the way that offense was sputtering throughout that first half. Mannion only had like 43 passing yards at intermission, and they really could not get anything going. And then you lose Storm Woods on the ground. We don't know his status going forward. That hurts. And then I think what happened is the defense, as we've seen earlier this season, just kind of wore out a little bit, and particularly against a stud running back like Devontae Booker, they just kind of couldn't handle him at the end. And Booker finishes with over 200 rushing yards.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned Storm Woods left the game with a right knee injury. Joshua James also left with a right knee injury. Kellen Clute left with the same injury. And Richard Mullaney left with an elbow injury that Mike Riley said could actually threaten his season, could be a season ender. And I guess one of the positive takeaways from this game was how Jordan Billiman emerged. He had that big touchdown early in the fourth quarter that you thought maybe would break this game open for the Beavers. Had a huge catch on a fade route in the first overtime to tie that game. Is that a positive thing to take away from otherwise a really disappointing and heartbreaking performance?
It's positive, but from what I remember, there was also that catch that he missed wide open. He misran a couple other routes earlier that I noticed.
Yeah.
So it's not. I mean, he had a couple really good catches and he had 2 touchdowns. A lot to be said for that. But I don't think fans should put too much stock in that, and the fact that he's still learning, he's still young. And if he's in a situation where he has to be the starting split in the rest of the season, that's still going to be a huge task for someone like him to shoulder.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will remember that missed touchdown against USC that ended up getting intercepted. Brent Brennan's even said maybe in a couple years he makes that catch. He's going to have to grow up really quickly if Richard Mullaney does end up missing significant time. You talked about the defense, and they allow a 94-yard touchdown drive late in the fourth quarter that gave Utah a 3-point lead before Trevor Romaine's field goal. Again, there were some missed tackles, but overall it was a solid performance. And yeah, did it just wear down like you said earlier?
I think that's what happened. I think it just kind of got fatigued, and against a good offense like Utah, especially when they can run the ball the way they have, and also as we wrote about all week, the issues up front in terms of not having a guy like Jalen Grimble, it's going to test your depth. And I think we kind of saw specifically up front that kind of become an issue.
Yeah, let's also touch on special teams really quickly. Utah obviously came into this game with a huge special teams, I don't want to say advantage, but a very, very solid unit. You look at kicking, punting, returns, obviously. Had scored 4 times on punt and kickoff returns. But Trevor Romaine, even though he missed that huge field goal in double overtime, he said he just got his hips wrong and didn't strike it as well as he wanted to. But you've done your research, and he's still the best kicker now in the Pac-12. And obviously, without his big field goal at the end of regulation, we're not even into overtime.
I think we saw the 2 best kickers in the Pac-12 today, at least how they're performing right now. I think Romaine, yes, he missed a critical 37-yarder in the second overtime. But at the end of the day, he had a good day today. He did everything Oregon State could ask him. Yes, he missed a convertible field goal, but the guy hit a 49-yarder. He was the reason you were in overtime. He's the reason you were tied at the end of regulation.
He got iced twice and still made it.
After missing one. So at the end of the day, he had a good day, I think.
Yeah, well, now Oregon State is 4-2 on the season, 1-2 in Pac-12 play, and obviously faces a very tough challenge at Stanford next Saturday. And then the schedule doesn't get much easier. They still have to face Arizona State, have to face at Washington. The Civil War comes up. So it'll be very interesting to see how the Beavers respond after a really, really tough loss here on Thursday night. So for Connor Letourneau, I'm Gina Mizell, coming at you from Reser Stadium. Keep it on OregonLive.com and read the Oregonian every day.